Tonight, a local family faces charges accused of using children as workers and even locking one in a cage.
The investigation in Columbia County started after a tip at a church led to 9 kids being rescued. A report says the children were not educated properly and didn't even know their full names or their birthdays. Action News Jack's Yona Gavino is live at the sheriff's office in Yona. There are lingering questions now for DCF.
They are, Tanika, and tonight investigators are still piecing together how this alleged abuse went on unnoticed for so long, and this all started with a tip from a church camp about a teenager carrying a taser, and that's when authorities say it blew open a much bigger story. Hidden deep in the woods, a makeshift clubhouse spells out the family name, Griffeth. It is the same name now tied to child cruelty charges, including physical and sexual abuse. Deputies say 9 children ages 7 to 16 lived here in isolation. The arrest affidavit says some couldn't read, others didn't even know their birthdays. Jill and Brian Griffeth, along with their adult children, Dallin and Liberty Ann, are all facing charges. Investigators say at least one of the younger children was sexually abused by the couple's 21-year-old biological son. Other children described being beaten with a cane and sprayed in the face with vinegar as punishment. But the most disturbing allegation involves a 14-year-old boy who deputies say was locked in a homemade cage, built under a bunk bed with plywood and 2x4s. When we visited the property, the only sign of life was a black cat. There's something unsettling about this place. It is eerily quiet, aside from the occasional sounds of insects and birds. And it is right in the middle of the woods. Although you can see there are signs that children live here, the court documents paint a very different picture of the reality they lived in. So I went to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Branford to get answers. The court documents say a tip that a 16-year-old boy had a taser at church camp cracked open a bigger case. And a follow-up interview at the church was where a woman told authorities the couple primarily fostered and adopted African-American children who were not nurtured but were treated like workers. I spoke with a defense attorney who tells me this case is still in its early stages.
There are federal statutes that prohibit trafficking individuals between jurisdictions for purposes of either sexual behavior or other types of work-related behavior, indentured servitude, even really in a sense slavery. That is definitely a thing that is criminalized, and rightfully so.